Hey there, hunting family. This week on Tracks and Tackle, we're joined by Josh Buchman as he shares how the Maryland waters and the Chesapeake Bay turned him into a diehard fisherman. From tidal waters to tight lines, you're not going to want to miss this one. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tracks and Tackle, where nature is our playground, and we got a pretty cool episode for you tonight. We're bringing on some family from the 3B Outdoor Club. But first, let me start with my brother and co-host, Chris Buchman. Chris, why don't you say what's up, man?
What's up, guys? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Beautiful summer afternoon, and nothing better than hanging out with some buds.
Yeah, the sun finally came out. And here we are inside.
Yeah, man. How's your week been?
So far, so good. How about you?
Pretty good. I'm actually taking a day off of work here at the end of the work week, so I'm going to start my weekend early, and I'm just cruising into the weekend a day early. So here we are.
Let's get it.
Well, why don't I bring our guest on here tonight? We got Josh Buchman coming on, and Chris, I'm just going to hand it over to you, man. Why don't you introduce Josh and tell us what we got going on tonight?
Yeah, well, I got my actual brother from my actual mother, Josh, here. We've been running the woods and hills of Maryland and Pennsylvania since the 80s, and glad to have him on to wrap up this 3B anniversary kind of series.
Yeah,
so, Josh, what's up, dude?
10 years, 3B. That's crazy. I remember when this was just a brainstorm of an idea. Trying to sell some T-shirts and maybe some merch, or trying to find some new places to hunt. And man, 10 years in, all the people we've met, all the people we've talked to, that's crazy to think about.
Podcasts and stuff. So
yes, sir.
I know people have heard mine. It might mirror it a little bit, but Josh, hit us with your kind of outdoor bio, bro.
Well, I mean, I'm sure from listening to Chris, I mean, you guys know we grew up in the woods. We grew up in the streams. We grew up running neighbors' properties, sometimes legally, sometimes not. I mean, we grew up, we always like to say we grew up in the 90s like kids from the 50s. We grew up in a log cabin that our dad and a bunch of his friends built. And I mean, a lot of people say it, but we were told to be outside until it was dark, or until they called us in for dinner. So I mean, real quickly, Chris and I learned. I know this episode's about fishing, but we learned how to go catch chubs in the creek using strings and paper clips, and catching crayfish, and running the woods for squirrels and rabbits. And
we knew to be home at 5 o'clock every day, and we didn't have watches.
That's right.
But you knew it's 5 o'clock. Okay, that's where the sun is.
Yeah, well, it's your body clock tells you too. I mean, you get that built in whenever you start building that muscle memory.
Yeah, and we grew up in a cool place. I've talked about, the northern part of Carroll County, right below the PA line. There, it's just I drove through there today. I get my haircut still there. I only live a couple minutes away, but just driving through there, man, the hills and the streams and stuff. I mean, you couldn't ask for a cooler. Growing up, we might romanticize it a little bit, and Josh is going to talk about some of that stuff, but
yeah,
it was just cool, man. And we didn't realize how cool it was until now. I think we might have realized it was cool. None of our other friends had it, and they couldn't wait to come over our house.
Yeah.
So
well, we all spend our time outdoors, right? And we cut our teeth, just playing outside. And when you had siblings, you spend most of your formative years with your siblings and your family and stuff. But man, if you got water, if you got fields, if you got forest, it's starting to warm up and shift from spring to summer, and getting in the creek and catching crayfish and that sort of stuff. Like, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, hit on that a little bit, Josh. Talk about the creek and stuff that we grew up in, man. I mean,
well, okay, so we were fortunate enough, right where we were, that where the creek spilled in from under the neighbor's driveway created like a 10-foot round, maybe even a little bigger in some spots, by about 4 foot deep puddle. So, I mean, we would get crayfish in there, and I'm not exaggerating, 6 to 7 inches. Nice big crayfish. We could go down there and pull out. I mean, we would swim in it.
Yeah, that's perfect for a kid.
It was like a pool. It was legit, like it dumped out of a built up, drainage spillway from this guy's where we had elevated driveways, and it was cool, man. It was like a little lagoon in the woods.
Anything over 3 feet's a good water hole when you're a kid.
What made it real special for us is over the years, there was one tree on the bank that, as the years went on, just gradually tipped more and more and more. And it was almost like a natural bridge to cross the stream, or even just to sit there and put your feet in. So I mean, that's where we spent 90% of our time growing up. Was just, we would walk miles down Big Pipe Creek, all through Silver Run.
So one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Josh, certainly I talked to Chris a whole lot, and I got a little bit of the backstory of the family and everything, and we bring on different folks, onto the podcast to have different styles or types of conversation. Some people are big time bow hunters. Sometimes we got guys that are turkey hunters. Sometimes we got duck hunters, but it's like we're coming on and we asked you to come on and talk a little bit about, it's summertime, man. It's fishing season and getting after it. And so, like, how did you cut your teeth on that? Like, what got you going? Like, some people fish casually and some people take it super serious. And I know, like, we do stuff online, like their fishing is a big deal. Like, it's a big market stuff. So what got you going?
Well, we grew up kind of casually fishing. When it comes to actual serious fishing, I remember only 2 or 3 times we went somewhere special to go fishing. We went with our dad and his friend a couple times to Pretty Boy. We'd go out and try to catch some crappie out there, several other things. Most of the fishing we did when we were kids was on our grandfather's farm. He had a huge pond that he would keep stocked full of bass and catfish, sunnies and bluegills and stuff like that. So that's how we kind of grew up doing it. It wasn't until maybe 5 or 6 years ago that I actually fell in love with the sport of fishing. Some of it's Chris's fault, because he took me duck hunting for the first time. I know they're 2 separate things, but they go hand in hand here. The first time we went duck hunting and I got on our buddy Anthony's boat, something clicked in my brain and I fell in love with the water, like almost instantly. And since then, my best friend, who, I'm sorry, Chris, I got to give a real quick shout out. Timmy had his daughter about an hour ago.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, Timmy's. Yeah, this is his second child. His daughter Whitley was born an hour ago. So
awesome.
Big ups to him.
Congratulations, Daddy-O.
Anyway, so him and I Timmy and I worked together years ago. We kind of reconnected when you took me duck hunting the first time. And he was telling me, oh man, my dad's got a boat. We're going to go down to the Tapsco River and try to catch some stripers. You want to come? Bingo, I'm in. So, I mean, we got on that boat, just him and I. We spent the day out on the Patapsco River catching fish, and I was like, man, I want this to be my life. So from 5 years ago to now, we kind of worked our way up from, we were using his dad's boat to, oh man, we got kayaks now. Let's go out on these rivers and marshes. Let's go down and try to catch some snakeheads on these kayaks. Then we bought a 12-foot boat, threw a mud motor on it, man, and we're skipping through the marshes. We're skipping through the creeks. Then we're like, oh man, well, let's buy a big boat. Let's buy a 16-foot John boat. We're like, yeah, 16 foot, man. We're going to take that thing out on the bay. Anyway, we got a 16-foot John boat. We run the creeks with that thing too. And then about 2 years ago, we were lucky enough, a friend of his was selling a 20-foot Mako bay boat, and we jumped on it. So in just a matter of 5 years, we have immersed an arsenal to where we can get on the water for just about anything we want to at any time. And let me tell you something, it's getting into the months we're about to hit it hard. So
it's a different style of fishing, you know, for, you know, you got it in different places and you're, you know, going after different types of fish. And so I can appreciate like the arsenal of,
Yes.
you know, kayak fishing versus big bay fishing, etc.
Yep.
What are you chasing when you go on those big waters now, Josh? Talk about getting into that.
So you say big water. So I've never really been out on the ocean. That's a dream.
Big water compared to like farm ponds and creeks.
Yeah. So we spend 95% of our time where the Patapsco River jumps out into the Chesapeake Bay. Sometimes until the Key Bridge fell, we would launch right there out of Fort Armistead. Now we launch just a little bit further up, a little place called McGee's Cove. I'm not trying to blow it up, but I mean, a lot of people already know about it.
Is there a little park there?
There is a little park there, and
like
there's
row house.
Yeah, so you pull down. There's a bunch of row houses, and then there's actually a little paintball park there too.
I got a picture of the place hanging in my basement because we smashed buffleheads down there.
Yeah,
that's where Goldhammer built that real stud gadwall. So sorry, go ahead.
So we target a lot of striper out there. We're actually kind of easing back on the striper fishing a little bit, not because they're overfished or whatever, but because the state of Maryland's really trying to get people to go after blue cats and the Chana, which is a snakehead. So we're kind of trying to pull back a little bit on the striper fishing and really get into hitting the catfish and hitting those snakeheads pretty hard.
Cool. Talk about some of your boating adventures out there. I know one of the first times you took your boat out there, you had a little bit of
yeah, that was a fun story.
Yeah.
So there's a learning curve, right? As you continue to increase your watercraft, there's a learning curve that goes with that.
There's a learning curve with learning to inspect used things that you buy on Facebook Marketplace.
Right.
So we acquired a 15-foot V-hull John boat. The fact that it's a V-hull is very important. It doesn't have that flat bottom. It's got that lip in the center that's supposed to cut through wake. That's very important in this story. We acquired the boat. Originally, it came with a 7 horsepower little motor. It's enough to scoot that thing around, 5 or 6 miles an hour, but you're not going to get it. And him and I like to travel. When we're on the water, we're trying to go, a couple miles in a certain direction. So we spent some money. We bought a nice Yamaha 20 horsepower motor. Everything was running fine on it. On the very bottom of the motor, where it actually dips in the water, there's a little fin on the bottom, and you can adjust that fin for the kilter of the boat. Maybe say you have it off-centered where your motor's mounted, whatever. You can adjust this little fin to help steer your boat. Well, that little fin was loose, and we're chugging through the water. First time we've ever had this 20 horsepower on, 15, 16 miles an hour, not real fast, but fast enough that when that little flipper decides that it's going to break loose and chuck to the left and send everything on the boat to the right, and my big, large self was not able to balance and took about a 10-foot throw into the Patapsco River. Yeah, that was a fun. That was a fun.
It wasn't very warm either, was it?
No, it was. So it was actually right about this time of year. Striper season had just come in, but we were actually targeting some catfish out right underneath where the Key Bridge was standing. And I mean, we're just cooking it right past the fort. And yeah, that rudder that fin decided to break loose, and I went flying. The boat went up on its side. That was fun. Learning experience for sure.
The engineer. I was going to say, sorry, Chris, the engineer in me, like my brain, the way that I think it's just fascinated by okay, something so small can direct that whole vessel, you know, and, there's a lesson to be learned in, being the rudder versus being the ship. But sounds like you got catapulted.
Yeah. And talking funny, Josh is. Go ahead. You're going to say it because Josh is 6'5". Okay. So
that's probably really funny to the story. No, what I'm going to say is my favorite part of that whole story is the water's too deep where I'm at, and I'm in a sweatshirt. I got all my heavy stuff on. I'm trying to climb back at a boat. It's not happening. I literally hung on the side and had him drag me to shore right underneath the Amazon facility. And I'm, climbing up on this sandy beach, and all these Amazon workers are outside laughing at me, dripping wet. I get back
Yeah,
in the boat. I get back in the boat. This is my favorite part of the whole story. Timmy looks at me and he goes, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I said, "You're going to give me your dry sweatshirt, and we're going to keep fishing."
yeah, that's the story I was talking about, and they had to drag you to shore. So,
That's funny.
yeah.
Well, we're big on like hunting partners, fishing partners. You got to have a buddy, go out. Nobody wants to do this stuff alone, so like a good partner is going to give you a sweatshirt.
That's exactly right.
Talk about real quick, Josh, shift gears about how long? That's probably been 4 or 5 years since me and you went rock fishing.
Yeah, we're actually going on probably 5 years, because that was right after I moved into this house. So yeah, we're going on 5 years since.
Let's clarify too, because Ron is from Pennsylvania. Okay, I live here, but I ain't from here. So when we say rock, what are we talking about?
We are talking about the striped bass that makes its northern and southern migrations twice a year. Comes right through this area, and certain ones will actually swim up into the freshwater tributaries.
Yeah,
but
some people.
I call him a striper. A lot of people from this area call him a striper. That fish him hard, but a lot of people from right around this area, you go to restaurants and stuff, and you see them on a menu. They're called a rockfish or a Maryland rockfish.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the real rockfish that's in Alaska. I mean, our man Steve Ranello would be embarrassed.
Yeah.
For calling him a rock.
Some people get really upset about it. That's not.
I know.
That's
That's not a rockfish.
Just out of spite and to poke people north of the Mason-Dixon, I like to mess with them. So, but tell that story, John. That was a fun day, and I got a little. My sea legs weren't that great that day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Doritos helped. I remember that. So that was my first experience actually specifically targeting trophy striper. We went during the trophy season, which is no longer a thing. And
so when he says trophy season, explain that real quick, Josh, because some people don't understand that.
Okay, yeah. So in the state of Maryland, there used to be, there's not any longer. There used to be 2 separate categories for when you could, or 2 separate seasons for when you could fish for stripers, and size regulations for what they could be. Now, back then, they used to have what they would call a trophy season, which is the earliest part of striper season, when it first comes in, when the big ones are starting their northern migration back up to the colder waters. They swim right through here on their mating path. But so there used to be a couple weeks set aside where you could target the big boys. I mean, and they wanted them to be 30 inches or bigger. So now they've kind of done away with that. So biggest fish I've ever caught in my life, we were trolling, having kind of a rough morning. The water was actually kind of choppy. I think we were working with like 1.5 foot rollers, maybe even up to 2 foot waves. So we were trolling, and we were out there for a good 3 or 4 hours with not really much hitting. And then all of a sudden, I mean, if my memory serves me correct, Chris, you were there. You were paying more attention than I was at that moment. We were right under the bridge.
We were right underneath of it. I mean, we had passed through pylons. My first instinct when the reel started screeching is that we got hooked up on a pylon.
That was mine too. And
of the bay.
Dennis was saying, "Oh man, grab that rod." Now, I have fished before, and I have caught some nice sized fish before, but I have never in my life fought a fish like a 40-inch striper. Man, it took. I'm 6 foot. I'm 6'4", 6'5". At that time, I was every bit of 250 pounds, and it was the fight of my life. I had that thing anchored into my thigh and giving it everything I had to get that thing up near the boat. And I mean, it definitely took all 3 of us to get it in the boat by the time. So I finally got it up to the side of the boat. I think, Chris, you put it in the net, right? And then Dennis helped everybody pull it in.
He did the net. I helped him because I was steering the boat, which I've never captained a boat ever, And I'm trying to watch Josh, because it was cool for me not to be like sappy. I've done it a little bit, with charters and stuff. My father-in-law used to take us out once a year, and not for the trophy ones, but catching the, what's the fall one, Josh? Like 26, 27 inch.
Yeah. So and now it's even smaller. Now they've cut it down to 19 to 24 inches. I mean, they want you to catch those little immature ones that aren't ready to breed yet.
Yeah. So I've done that. I've done that a couple times, and even you're fighting a fish, but that's on a chartered boat where there's first mates helping you. So we're out here. I actually had gotten a little seasick. Doesn't really happen to me. It was a day similar to how we've had this past week, where it was warm out, windy and rainy, cloudy, and we're rolling. Nothing crazy. We're not deadliest catch out there, but it's rolling or whatever.
It's not still.
Yeah. And when the reel started screeching, I was like, Josh, take that. A, I didn't feel good, and B, I wanted him to catch it, not knowing. And the guy we were with knew when the rod bent. He goes, "This is a big one."
Yeah. How long did you fight it, Josh?
I
mean, when you're in the moment, you don't even think about that, right? Like you're in the moment.
15 minutes, maybe. 15 minutes.
That's awesome.
I mean, he'd come a little close, and then he'd catch a strength patch and take off and screech some line out, and we'd fight him all the way back. And I wasn't ready for it. I mean, I'll tell you that right off the bat. I was not ready for it. So I'm talk about a learning curve or learning from experiences. That was an experience that I wasn't ready for, and now I pray that happens. I know you can't keep them anymore, but I mean, still, just to hook up on a fish that size and just to have that kind of fight, man, it's something you look forward to.
He fishes all over the place, all up and down. I don't want the East Coast and the Bay. That was the biggest fish he's ever boated on.
Yeah, well, that's hands down the biggest fish I've ever caught in my life. So it was 44 inches in total by the time. I mean, when we stretched it out, it was 44 inches in total and weighed just over 32 pounds.
Yeah. I mean, you can be like an outdoorsman your entire life and not catch a fish like that.
Yeah.
So awesome experience without a doubt.
Yeah, it was cool, man. It was a cool thing, and he's joking around because I did get seasick. I didn't eat for whatever reason. I forgot my phones, so me, I can't take pictures out there. It's driving me nuts. And he's like, "Here, eat some Doritos," and Doritos brought me back.
Sometimes you just need a little bit of a chow in the gut.
Yeah, well, that's a difference. Where I wasn't with my brother, but we went a charter, same guy, but we chartered some stuff out of Ocean City, and we went about 7 miles out to the wrecks, they call it, and we're doing black sea bass, which I don't want to say it's easy, but the captains know how to take you there. It's almost like fishing for bluegills. You just drop your line and it hits the bottom and you pull up.
It's always a bluegill there for you.
Yeah, so this day I'm talking about now, we were rolling. I mean, it was up and down, and they were like, just look for the horizon. And we had taken, bonite and, Dramamine, whatever. And I was still getting a little queasy. And I had taken a box of oatmeal cream pies with us. And I told my buddy, I said, toss him one of those. It's either going to be the best decision or the worst decision.
It's a fork in the road type of decision.
But a little sugar got me. So, but Josh transitioned from that into I give Josh a hard time. And Josh is the guy that when we hunt with, he can't sit still. Josh is a big time bow hunter and a big time deer hunter, more deer hunter than me. But how does transition to this conversation to how it helps you kind of chill, how you get away on the water on the weekends?
Oh man.
So
the past couple of years of my life, and Chris knows, I don't want to dive into all that. I mean, I've been through some pretty rough stuff the past couple of years of my life. And my solace is being on the water. Because of him, and I will say it's because of him. I went one other time prior to that, but Chris took me duck hunting for what I consider to be the first time. And we had heard our mom say it growing up all the time, how she loved the water. She still does. I mean, they take beach trips a dozen times a year or go somewhere just so they can be near the water. And I have really come to find out that is, that's my peace. I almost like it more than being in the woods. And that's hard for me to say.
Mm-hmm.
But something about being out on the water, whether you're on the bay and it's glass and you're sitting there calm all day, or if you're out there and you're fighting the chop, to me, it really doesn't matter. There's something about being on a boat, and being out in the middle of the water that just, I mean, brings peace to my soul.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, sometimes it's like a reset, right? I mean, it just recalibrates you. Like some people, that is, getting out into the woods, but look, nature's nature, and if you can find appreciation for it, I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, there's actually a psychological, proven scientific psychological thing that you have to see water every so often. It actually does what you said, Ron. It resets your brain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just for whatever that is, So, and now you transition. I know you and Timmy, your buddy, go out, but you take your daughters out. Talk about that a little bit, Josh. How that you guys?
Yeah. So I do. I take my daughters out. I love my daughters with all my heart, and I try to get them, very much involved in being outdoors. I have one daughter who likes to be outside, but doesn't really want to fish. She loves to be on the boat. She loves to be outside near the water. She loves to be with everybody. But for her to have a fishing rod in her hand or to reel a fish in, that's just not her thing. My younger daughter, on the other hand, is just a female version of me. She wants a rod in her hand or a gun in her hand at all times. She wants to be in the woods. She wants to be on the boat. She wants to, go out and get her done. And I mean, I can't tell you how much fun it is to bring my daughters up. I mean, even in a world remotely close to the way him and I did. And honestly, with the ability to have some experiences that him and I never really got to when we were young. I mean, other than Uncle Bill's, out on a dam, we never really went out on a boat. We never really, did that kind of stuff. So for me, at this stage of my life, to be able to have that opportunity and the ability to take them, out and do these kind of things, man, it's a blessing, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool for sure, man. Now, as we're kind of wrapping up, this is a shorter episode. What's give me top 3, top 5 favorite gear you're taking out on the boat with you, Josh? What's in your bag, bro?
Okay, well, first off, my number one is you got to have a good rod. I mean, I know you can get away with doing some cheap stuff, but if you're going out and you're actually going to start targeting some fish that got some weight class to them, I mean, you're going to need a good rod. I like them. They're called Penn. For me, they're medium heavy rods. They're exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to you're going to go out and throw 6 lines in the water for some big blue cats down the Potomac. You want something that's going to be able to handle the weight, be able to handle the so that's number one. Number one is always having a good rod. Number 2 is if you're on a boat, make sure you have a captain that you trust, because crap happens, and you got to know that the person that you're with has the wherewithal to withstand just about anything. I'm gonna say number 3 is a pair of pliers. You should always have a pair of pliers with you. Okay, you can fish for just about anything. You can use just about any bait to target anything. You can target stripers with night crawlers. You can target perch with night crawlers. You can target catfish with chicken liver, stripers with chicken livers, flounders with anything that'll move. But what you're not going to do, or what you're not going to be able to do if you don't have them, is pull a hook out of your hand unless you got a pair of pliers with you.
Yeah. Right on. All right.
So let me hop in, man, because I'm sitting here and I'm listening to Josh tell a story and stuff, and I'm thinking about, like, okay, people in the audience that haven't experienced that type of fishing that you're talking about, what would your recommendation be to somebody that wants to get into it and just hasn't taken the leap? They don't know where to start. They don't have that mentor. We talk about mentors all the time.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to somebody that wants to, like, start increasing the, you know what I'm saying? Like, they want to take their fishing game to the next level, and they want to go bigger, get better, faster, stronger. What would you say to some, teenage kid that's listening and wants to go to the next level?
All right. Well, my biggest piece of advice, and I'm gonna gear this more towards catfishing. We're in the state of Maryland, and they're really, really trying to push people catching these blue cats. Okay. So my biggest piece of advice is keep it simple. Just keep it simple. Catfish will eat anything. The worse it smells, the more they're going to like it.
Yeah.
I know people have used, garlic and Kool-Aid soaked hot dogs, but from my experience, the thing that works the absolute best is tried and true. You go to grocery store, buy a tub of chicken livers, costs $2.95. Throw them on a hook real good, throw them out and let them sit. There's a real convenient place if you've never been catfishing before. It's on the Potomac River. It's called Edwards Ferry. You park there. They got trails that go right up and down both sides of the river. You can walk those trails in any direction, throw a rod in the water, and you're almost guaranteed to catch a catfish of some sort. You can do the same thing down in Washington, D.C. There's a lot of big guys online. We're going to plug them real quick. Chunky Fishing. He fishes right there on the Potomac River just outside of D.C. And Ernie the Hog Snatcher, same thing. I mean, they fish the same areas. That Potomac feeds right into the Chesapeake Bay, and these catfish are traveling that river, and they really want people to start smashing them. So you want my advice, go buy a nice medium heavy rod. All in total, you might spend $150 between a rod, some line, some hooks, and a tub of chicken livers. Man, you can go out and you have yourself a great night.
Yeah, and let those chicken livers sit out in the sun all day. They'll accumulate a stench that catfish tend to like.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, if you take the lid off of them and let a layer of them or two almost dry out like a jerky on top too, they stay on your hook a lot better. I'm sure anybody out there that's fished for catfish is throwing a chicken liver about 20 feet further than your weight drops. So,
all right, rapid fire, Josh. What's your favorite fish to fish for, and what's your favorite one to eat?
My favorite fish to fish for is going to be a striper, especially if you can find them hitting top water. It's hard, and it's a lot more in the summertime when the bait fish are coming up. But that's my absolute favorite thing to fish for is stripers on top water. My favorite fish to eat, little tiny white perch. You can do the same thing. You can go just about anywhere in the bay if you can find a pool. If you're running water that's 6, 7, 8 foot deep, but you can find a pool where it drops off to 10 or 12, you can almost guarantee that there's going to be a pile of white perch in that puddle. Literally, you can just throw a night crawler, a little chunk of a night crawler on a little tiny worm hook, drop it down. They range anywhere from, keeper ones 7 to 14 inches. They're not a big fish. You need to catch a bunch of them in order to get a good meal, but talk about a delicious fish. Little flaky white fish, they're my absolute favorite to cook. I make a pile of them here, and they don't last in my house for about 10 minutes. So,
how are you cooking them?
I'm a big fan of bread and pan fry just about any type of whitefish.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, thanks for coming on, bro. And any parting words for people that want to get into it, or
you don't have to spend a lot of money to have a good time. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Walmart, you can go buy Walmart brand everything if you just want to go out and get started. But my advice to everybody is get out, take your kids out, take your friends out, get out and do it.
Yeah, that's the first step. People sit around and we think about this stuff. No matter what the project or the objective might be, we think about it, and the key is, you just got to get out and do it. You just got to get out and do it and share it with somebody. So, Josh, man, it's been great to have you on the show, man. I love hearing the stories. We sit here and just listen to fishing stories, for forever. But we'll wrap it up tonight, man. Appreciate it. We always have this, the 3B motto is get outdoors. And I think that's the message that you're driving is like, just get out and do it. Doesn't take a whole lot to just go out and put your iron to the fire or hand to the plow and make it happen. So awesome having you on. Chris, any parting words from you?
No, man. Thanks a lot, bro. Chacho.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Anytime, man. You're welcome back anytime. It's great to have another bookman on here. I got Chris all the time, but it's nice to have another bookman on the show with us.
I'm better looking.
Yeah. Shut up.
There we go. That's that brother. I don't get in between that brotherly stuff, man. All right. Well, listen, we'll have you on again. We'll catch you the next time. And to the audience out there, hope you got something from this episode. As always, remember, nature is our playground. Go out there and stay wild.
See you guys.
Yeah.